On this episode of Ergo, we fear not, for we know a change will come.
I'm pulling my weight, go. Got me anxious, got me broke, but I can't live this on my own.
Welcome back to Ergo, everybody. I'm your host, Brandon, here in Ohio. And today's episode is actually not going to be about Donald Trump because I'm sick of him. I'm sick of his scandals. I'm sick of talking about him. I'm sick of looking at him. Instead, we're going to be moving on to something else because despite of all of the problems that he has given this country, it is just as important for us to develop solutions to all of the problems that we now face, again, thanks to Donald Trump. In this year, 2017, there were 4 special elections that were held for Congress. Special elections for Congress are held when there's a retirement, someone resigns, or in this case, when the President of the United States appoints people from Congress to serve on his cabinet. Donald Trump selected 4 congressional people to serve on his cabinet, and therefore they had to resign from their seats, leaving 4 open seats because they couldn't serve on Donald Trump's cabinet and be in Congress. The Democrats lost all 4 of the special elections, which is not shocking to me personally because all 4 of those special elections were to represent deep, deep red or deeply Republican districts. However, it was very interesting to see and amazing to see how close the Democrats came to victory in many of those special elections. So, there is just as an important issue with a couple of the losses that happened. Because 2 of these losses really stood out to me, and they will for you too. In the first Democratic loss in the special elections, the Republican candidate that won was a guy named Greg Gianforte. And what's amazing about his victory over the Democrats is the fact that the day before election, he body slammed a news reporter simply for asking him a question about the Republican health care bill. The second Democratic loss was to Republican candidate Karen Handel, and this happened in Georgia. She won despite the fact that in a debate, a publicly broadcast debate, she stated that she did not support a livable wage. And this is just shocking to me that these 2 people actually received enough support from the American citizens to represent them on the federal national government level. It's like we're living in the twilight zone. So you take this with the 2016 election giving us Donald Trump in the White House. We have a Republican majority Senate and Congress. And a lot of people who think like me and who feel like me may feel a little bit defeated, may feel a little bit depressed. But again, today, we're going to focus on solutions to all of these problems. So despite the media, the mainstream media, MSNBC, Fox News, aka fake news, Fox News, and CNN, they like to sensationalize all the elections. They like to make it seem like, oh, the Democratic Party's falling apart. Oh my God, it's the end of the Democratic Party. When the fact of the matter is, we have a long way to go. And the Democrats have a very long list of options and avenues that they can take to remedy the current situation that we're in. One of those options is the highlight of today's episode, and that is local government elections. You don't hear much about local elections because they're often drowned out by all the noise and all the static from the media covering national elections. And in most cases, no one even reports on local elections. Local elections include things like the school board, city council, mayor elections, and state senate houses. Local elections are especially important because they have an immediate impact on all of us in our day-to-day lives. An impact that is more important, more severe than issues that happen on the federal government level, because they affect us more rapidly than does the federal government layer. These are the ways that local government affects all of us each and every day. Local government has an effect on local school quality and the curriculum, policing and public safety, rent costs and affordable housing, alcohol and marijuana ordinances. So if you're a fan of legalizing marijuana, you might want to get more involved in your local elections. And they have an effect on city colleges and job training. It is also important to note that many federal laws originated at the local level. When you think of things like marriage equality, or minimum wage, or the environment protection, those things all started at the local government level, and then the federal government ended up recognizing them and seeing how great some of these policies were, and then they adopted them on the federal level. Also, there's a lot of talk from people about how they feel like their vote doesn't matter, how their vote doesn't mean anything. That's why they choose to not participate in voting. It is important to note that only 1 out of 5 registered voters participate in local elections. So, to put that into perspective, you have the entire population of the United States, all the people. Only a small percentage of those people are actually registered voters. And then if you take the fact that one out of every 5 of that small sample of registered voters participate in local elections, then everyone votes truly makes a difference. There have been several elections and several policies across this country that have changed or that have been enacted all due to one or just a small few amount of votes. So if you want more bang for your buck, or more bang for your vote in this case, it is important for you to participate in the local elections. And lastly is the most important aspect of local elections. It is the principle of gerrymandering. And gerrymandering is the practice of drawing state districts in ways that will keep a certain party in power. Take this example in this picture of Ohio, for example. As you can see, there are a lot of red districts in Ohio. Red is a color that represents Republican. Blue obviously represents Democrat. And as you can see, there is an disproportionate amount of Republican representatives, Republican districts, compared to Democrats. How does this play into local elections? I'm glad that you want to find out because I'm going to share it with you. If we have a state senate, for example, the Ohio State Senate, and it's filled mostly with all Republican elected people from local elections, they get to draw those districts how they want to see it because they have the majority. So, those districts represent the places that people vote for House of Representative members and Senate members that go to Washington, D.C. at the federal and national level. So, you can see how something so small, such as a city council, maybe even a school board, can build and build and build into now we're at gerrymandering, which ultimately affects the amount of Democrats and Republicans that go to Washington, D.C. It's like you're building a house. So it is essential that we start from the ground and work our way up. So that concludes the opening segment of today's episode. For the next segment, we will have an interview for the People's Platform, and it is with Kurt Young, who is currently a Democratic City Council member here in Toledo, Ohio, and he's currently up for re-election. He has a great interview, great aspects, great outlook, great insight. Learned a lot from him. I've walked in his parades. I've worked with him and helped him with his campaign in ways that I've been able to help him. He's a great person overall. Here's a picture of us at his parade currently. And it was just a great time. He's a great person to be around. Anyways, I'll be quiet. After this quick break, we'll have Kurt Young on with our interview. Ergo wants to be the platform for you to express your political thoughts. Please feel free to join the discussion via phone, video, or in person. To set up an interview, contact The Ergo Show at Outlook.com. All right, so joining us now is Mr. Kurt Young. He is currently on the City Council for Toledo, and he's running for re-election, right?
Yeah.
All right. So, why did you choose to run for City Hall, and what are some of your goals that you would like to accomplish since you're on it, and should you be re-elected?
Well, first of all, it's going to sound corny, but I come from a family, my parents both taught me service. So my dad, I ran out of high school, went in the Navy, served 20 plus years as a combat medic. And my mom was always doing all kinds of stuff all over the place. So they taught me that it's important when something needs fixing, you jump in and serve. So I've been for about 25 years, just shy of that, a lawyer who helps out working families. And so it was just, I saw problems and I wanted to get in there and fix it.
Absolutely. Can you tell us some of the things that you've done? Like, what type of law did you do as a lawyer?
Mostly workers' comp law on the injured worker side. So I help out people get hurt on the job, and I keep forgetting I need to look over here probably so people can see me. Hi. And but again, I helped out working families mostly. I've also been working with the Democratic Party as a voting rights attorney in Lucas County since we started that. We have this thing called the Voter Protection Team. Our job is to make sure you get the right to vote. Now, we don't just do it for Democrats. We don't care what your party affiliation is. Our job is to make sure everybody who should get to vote gets to vote, and those votes get counted accurately. And so I was one of the first three who founded it. We usually, in presidential years, put about 100 or so attorneys out in the field in Lucas County, make sure everything goes right with the election. So.
Awesome.
So I've been doing that for years. I've been helping out with various campaigns, and I decided it was my turn to jump in and do something. So I really want to work on a bunch of different issues. First of all, though, is I want to get jobs for people. We have a real problem in Toledo where we are just too fixated on a few areas of industry, and they're great. Building cars is great. My grandparents were folks that worked in that. My uncle was somebody who worked in the auto industry, and we need that. But we need to have jobs for people besides making cars, making glass, helping out patients, and educating people. All great things, but we need to have more of them. And it's a great way to help level the playing field. Help small business owners get started. 14 years ago, I basically had been practicing for about 10 years, and I got sick of the way other people were handling this. And I said, I can do this on my own. So I started my own law firm. So I want to help more people like you and others get that entrepreneurial thing going, and that's going to help create new jobs, new wealth, new pathways out of being dependent on others for people. And it's going to take care of some other problems too, because if you've got a job, if you've got a future, you've got better things to do than get in bad situations. So, so anyway, we were talking about, again, creating new jobs. Also want to do something about neighborhoods. I live in the Old West End, which I don't know how much you know so far about Toledo geography and all that. That was the first yuppie suburb of Toledo. Back in the day, that wasn't part of the city where we were the other day, and the city grew throughout it. The Old West End is a great neighborhood. We take care of each other. I want every neighborhood to be like that. I want us to strengthen every neighborhood in Toledo. Start with the core and move out, and make sure all of Toledo's like that.
I will say that, even I grew up a lot of my time in Pensacola, Florida, which is small, and I'm from Cleveland, and this was the first parade, thank you, Kurt, that I've been to in Toledo, and I will say it really did have a community feel to it. It felt so open and welcoming to everybody.
I'm not going to pretend we don't have problems in the Old West End, but again, my nieces and nephews grew up in Brooklyn, and they came and visited us, and they're like, Uncle Kurt, this is a real hood. This is a neighborhood. These people care about each other. And my wife and I, when we first got married, we spent our first year in Bowling Green in a duplex condo. We never met our neighbor. in a duplex. Okay, she would just pull right in there, never see each other. When we first moved in the old West End, we had a 100-year flood, and it got up to about waist deep in the street. Everybody went out, checked on everybody, made sure everybody was okay, and a group of us went out, cleared the storm drains, got the water going away. It was a neighborhood, and that's what I want for all of Toledo. Livable neighborhoods. We want to attract people to Toledo. We want to keep people here. So, again, neighborhoods, and that means also that we need to have policing where the police are somebody we can trust and somebody we can work with and looks like the community they're policing. So I come from a labor background, I come from a union background, and I've represented men and women who wear badges and guns who've been hurt on the job, but I want them to have the training they need so they can work better with us.
All right, so I know personally that you're a strong believer in the grassroots movement, making sure you keep a strong connection with them. So I know also that nationally, the Democrats, they were once the party of the grassroots, and somewhere along the lines, they've lost that connection. Some would say they haven't, some would say they have. When did that happen, do you think, and how essential is it for Democrats, for locally and nationally, to fix it?
There's an old joke, and it's really old, so it'll be new for some folks, but I'm not a member of an organized party. I'm a Democrat. So,
okay.
We've had our moments of being organized. 2008. Look at what happens when you get a community organizer run for president, okay? And then you add in technology, because we got groups, we got neighborhoods, we got down to that. I had an app I downloaded onto my smartphone where I could find out who are my neighbors I need to go talk to. We were missing that in November of this year. We totally lost that focus. We totally lost, okay, well, we're going to do this polling, and we're going to put some people out in the field, but everything will be fine.
Do you think that everybody just kind of got complacent after having a Democrat president?
We did, and that's usually what happens, and it takes a wake-up call like this to get us going. And we need to start now. We need to get ready for this year, not just because I want to get reelected and all, but we need to get ready this year because next year is, state elections, and we've got the entire House of Representatives up for grabs. The problem is in Ohio, it's really hard to win these congressional districts. In 2012, I was deputy campaign manager on a race against Bob Latta. Wonderful woman around here, Angela Zimmern, ran against Bob, gave him the scare of a lifetime. We raised as much money in 2012 as he did in 2010. He just raised twice then. And the district is gerrymandered to go exactly what it did. We got a 60-40 loss out of it because that's exactly the way they set it up. And it used to be, they weren't that good at that. They were so good this time with the last set of gerrymandering in 2010, they broke up precincts. We never used to touch.
Wow.
We would keep precincts whole. They divided things down the middle of the street just to make sure that that's going to be Democrats and that's going to be Republicans and that's never going to be a Republican district and that's never going to be a Democrat district. So, in 2012, 52% of Ohioans voted for a Democrat to go to Congress. Okay? We have 16 congressional seats. How many do you think should be Democrat if we got 52% of the vote?
52, you should probably have around 9.
4.
Wow.
That was it. That was what it was designed to be. And that's why, again, this fall, we're going to be putting something on the ballot, hopefully, to fix that so that next time we don't have that thing. But if that doesn't succeed in 2018, we've got to win the statewide races so that we don't have this again. And we kind of forget that. What happened is we got Brock in 2008, and everybody said, 2010, we don't need to get out there. Yeah, well, we lost the statewide races, and then we got these districts. So
Now I'm told that Toledo is very Democrat oriented. So do you guys? Is there a lax feel here when it comes to elections, or do people?
Well,
I know that you're actively involved in grassroots,
right.
But what about the other Democrats?
I think the Democratic Party in Lucas County really is into the grassroots, and we've got a wake-up call. And so we're doing a lot of things now to get ready the next generation. It scares me that I am the second or third youngest member of Toledo City Council. And I don't want to say that it still starts with a 4 at the beginning of my age, but there ought to be some 2 and 3s at the beginning of their age on that council. It needs to be a chorus of all ages, all races, all backgrounds, so that we can represent the city. We don't get that. So, but the Lucas County Democratic Party is investing in our young Democrats, our young Black Democrats. We're hopefully going to be adding a couple other young groups, and in training of candidates and staff. And I'm, beneficiary of one of those things because I went through the candidate training, and I've got members of my team who've gone through the training who are helping me out. So, and that's one of the things I wanted to do. I went with the young Dems and said, I want to help train a group of people in roles they never had in a campaign before. So I've got this incredible campaign manager, not just because she's in the room, but she got training through this and is getting more training with that. So we've got a lot of work to do, and we've got a lot of work to work at the grassroots, but I think we're trying.
Awesome. All right. So, speaking of minorities and millennials, like you were speaking to just a second ago, do you feel that minorities and millennials are marginalized in the society overall? And if so, what do you think the remedy would be?
Yes, without a doubt. And, if I had all the answers, I don't have all the answers, but we've got to start with listening. One of the things that you learn as a lawyer is it's not just about talking. You've got to sit down and listen. Engage people, sit down with them, find out, okay, why have you given up? Because I already meet millennials who've, we can't do anything in politics. You haven't started yet, I feel like an old man when I say these kind of things, but, we had Reagan, okay? Right. And we thought that was bad, but we fought back and we got Clinton. And then we got complacent, we got W, then we got Barack, and we got complacent again, and now we got Trump, okay? We've been through this cycle before. We just need to get you all to understand that, there is hope. And again, men and women of color, I'm just amazed that they show up still with the treatment that we have given as a society. And I'm happy when they do, because we have to do something. We can't. It just drives me crazy. I am privileged in every way there is to know. White, straight, cisgendered, I'm a lawyer, I'm a Christian. My family didn't, all four of my grandparents were members of a union, okay? Because of that, my parents' generation was the first to send any to college. Because some of my parents' generation were union and all the protection that came with that, my generation all had a shot at college. Not all of them chose it, and that's fine. I have two cousins who are painters, and they're happy in life. The one has another side business he does, and has a great time with that. And that's the thing, is if you're happy and it pays the bills and it's legal and you're good at it, that's what I tell my kids anyway. But we've got to make sure that we're giving those opportunities to everybody. But again, I don't have a magic bullet to explain, how we're going to fix all of that. But one of the things is engaging people, getting them involved in the system and listening to them.
Now, I remember hearing you speak at an event, and I know that two of your biggest targets are small businesses and infrastructures. Mm-hmm. Is there any type of strategies or ideas that you have to present for after you get free?
Well, you're doing a great job interviewing because you're going to get me to say something I haven't said out loud yet because I don't want everybody stealing this one yet. But now, mind you, I'm getting inspired by somebody else. But as far as the businesses, one of our biggest problems in Toledo is we have more vacant retail space than Cleveland or Cincinnati. Now, geography-wise, we're the size of Cincinnati, not population, but geography. We're smaller than Cleveland. We shouldn't have that much vacant retail. There have been some great programs around the country, and it doesn't take a lot of money. What it takes is a lot of work. You got to get a lot of people. And what we do is we want to get first a group training new entrepreneurs. Get some folks who have dreams and ideas and say, okay, how are we going to make that a reality for you? Okay, let's teach you about how to write a business plan. Let's teach you about how to do marketing. Let's teach you about how to go to a bank and get stuff set up. And I've done that with young lawyers. I get to do that. I'm on the Ohio Association for Justice board, and we do it. Yeah. I don't understand the word no at times. So, and what we do with them is we teach them how to set up. I get to teach a class every year about how to set up a law firm from scratch. Literally, you're out of law school now, you don't want to go work for a firm. Here's how you do it on a shoestring from scratch. Anyway, so we take one group of people and working with, again, the Hispanic and Black Chamber of Commerce, the regular Chamber of Commerce, SCORE, and groups like that, help train a young generation of entrepreneurs about to be ready. And we've got a batch of them ready. We're going to have to work with the realtors and other folks to get landlords ready. We've got all these vacant properties that are just sitting there. Get them used to the idea of take a short-term gamble, not a long-term gamble. What we do is then we find targeted places in the city where we go. So again, you got to get the groups together, and when we're ready, what we do is we target small areas of the city. It's an idea I'm getting inspired by a place called an organization called Better Block, and they look at small-scale improvements on cities. Nearest place they've done something like this is Akron. And like I said, you get some traffic going for the places that are already there by having something special, and the new entrepreneurs match up with a landlord for just a month. Okay, let's just take a gamble for a month and see how this works out with you all. Now, it's not necessarily going to be something that's going to take. I mean, only a handful of those are going to make it each time, but that's new places going, and maybe you're ready to do your studio in a storefront. And you see the perfect storefront. It wasn't so good for her cupcake business, but it was good for your storefront, for your business. So you go see the landlord. And maybe the cupcake owner says, nah, that wasn't the right kind of storefront, but now I know what to look for. And now we got some momentum going, and we fill up some of that vacant retail, and we've got new businesses popping up.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
Good game plan.
Yeah, so.
I'm sure you'll get the people for it.
Well,
Definitely.
it's going to take some work, but... And I am the brand new rookie up on the 21st floor of Government Center. In fact, I keep learning new things every day. I didn't realize we had cars we could use. So there's a old Jeep Liberty.
Don't you like being the new guy that you get to find out everything last?
Well, it also means I can get away with things like, well, wait a minute, I'm the new guy. Can't we just do this? Why are we not doing it? So you can get away with that a little bit better. And it's the new member of council as opposed to the old standby. So,
all right. Well, I kind of have two more questions. That's it. This one is gonna go back to the national front.
Okay.
You can make it as you may. What do you think of Donald Trump, and where do you see this situation we're in, as I call it, heading?
Well, definitely not a fan. Everybody has for years said, why don't we get a business leader? We got to get a business leader, a great business leader. Well, running a business and running a government aren't the same thing. I'm a small business owner, okay? And if I tell my staff we're going to do this, generally they say, let's do it. Congress doesn't work for the president. The courts don't work for the president. And Donald doesn't quite get that yet. Mm-hmm. So I'm not even going to comment on his stands on issues and his advisors and things like that. He doesn't understand how government works, and he just expects, I'm the CEO and you're going to jump. And Congress keeps saying to him, no, we don't work for you. And the courts keep saying, no, by the Constitution, we don't work for you.
Right.
So, the only thing that gives me any solace is, again, Reagan and Bush got us Bill Clinton. W got us Barack. I want to see what good can come out of this. I just hope we make it through. So
Absolutely. And the last question kind of branches off of that one. Is what do you think of the saying, being politically incorrect is the new politically correct?
Not a big fan of that either. I mean, look, I know people think that political correctness has gone overboard. But I'm okay with somebody telling me what they prefer as their gender pronoun. Okay? That's your decision. That's respecting you as a human being. And not using derogatory names, not using derogatory language. Being inclusive is saying, you're a fellow human being of equal worth with me. How can we be in society with each other? How can I honor and respect you while you honor and respect me? So I know there's this big backlash. Every moment in every rights movement, you look and there's those moments where there's a gain and a backlash. And we had some great gains over the last 8 years. Now we got to live through the backlash, and that's not. I don't offer that as any comfort as, again, a guy of every form of privilege there is, but there's always a backlash. We just got to get past it and get back headed forward. So.
Get the fuck out of the car! Get the fuck out! Oh.
48-103 yourself.
We got him. We got him stopped here by the courthouse. Get the fuck out of the car, motherfucker! Show me your fucking hands! Get the fuck out of the car! Get the fuck out! Oh. The car! Get the fuck out! Oh. Get the fuck out of the car! Get the fuck out!
That was not the first time that minorities have been racially profiled and viciously attacked by either the policemen that are supposed to protect them or from radical white terrorists. This is supposed to be the free world, better known as the United States of America. Emmett Till, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Mike Brown, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Jordan Edwards, Richard Collins III, and many, many more have suffered the same fate. The Republican-led government has been painstakingly silent, and that makes one thing very clear to me, and that is the Republican Party has and is waging the second Civil War. With that said, I am taking the gloves off. I am done playing nice. I am done being tolerant of those who don't value me and all minorities as people. I am black, I am educated, I strive to be a leader, and I have a message. I will be relentless until what is wrong has been made right, and until the Republican Party is both humbled and abased. Until next time, this is Ergo, before you, the people.
I'm pulling my weight.